Okay, hello everybody, and welcome back to my small tutorial series, creating a procedural crystal system. So, jumping straight back into it, it's only been about 15 minutes, I think. I'm just going to go back to my paint. So, if you haven't followed along this tutorial, by the way, I've got part 1. It should have been uploaded before this, unless I'm lazy, which I think is common among artists. But if you haven't made this node tree yet, I suggest you go do it, because we are going to be copying a lot of this node trees, and we're actually going to be adding onto it quite a bit to create all these little small growth crystals. Okay, so I'm just going to go back to my paint shop and highlight it, and I'm going to reset it. I'm going to enable it, shift middle mouse to make it bigger, and I'm just going to paint in an area there. I'm just going to hit escape and go all the way down to my 4-inch to make sure it works. Yep, it's working. It's all there. All good. I might change it a bit more. So I'm going to go back to my paint, reset. I'm just going to make it like a curved type of. Looks a bit like an elephant. Yeah, an elephant, Jaron. Well done. I also noticed that in my other tutorial that you could hear my keyboard quite a bit. Hopefully that's been resolved. The reason you're hearing that is because my microphone that I would normally record in is actually pretty horrible. Best $50 I ever spent on it. So I'm actually using a really cheap $10 webcam with an audio or mic input. It's actually a lot better, believe it or not, than the professional microphone that I bought. Okay, so jumping straight back into it, I am going to start out by checking my other system to make sure I'm on the right track. And then I'm going to go back to my create custom noise. Look at it, isn't it beautiful? No. Okay. I'm then going to go here, bring out a node, and I'm just going to make another null to indicate where we're going with this. So I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to say make this smaller. These are the smaller gems. So this is the medium. I call these ones the large, the original ones. These are large. The next ones are going to be medium, and then there's the small ones. Okay. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my main X. That's not right. What am I going to do here? So if I just middle mouse right click to make sure that I've still got all of my groups. Yep, my extrude tree. I'm going to be using extrude tree. So I'm going to say, I'm going to lay down a primitive node. And I'm going to go, okay, do transformation up. Maybe like that. Yeah, that's good. I'm going to make it even smaller, but I'm only going to be doing it on my extrude true things. True group. So it's basically what I'm doing is I'm making these, pushing the middle points upwards, but it's also going to be dragging the edges along here as well. So it's going to push those up. So it's going to give it more of an it's creating an outer angle on the points. And then I'm just going to delete those. Don't need them anymore. Don't need my extrude trees anymore. So we're only going to get to these, which is what we want. Okay. And we're going to put down a class ID. Oh, dear me. Attribute delete. I'm relying quite heavily on my secondary panel over here, by the way, because my memory isn't perfect, and it's been a few days since I've made this part of the system. So I'm going to be deleting a few things just to clean it up. What don't I need? I'm going to keep my custom Z-scale, but I don't need my color. I do need my name. I don't need my custom Z-scale. I need my custom I-scale though. That's what I want to keep, that one. Okay. The reason why I want to keep that one will become evident very soon. So I'm going to start out by making the medium-sized gems. I like to start out with the smaller ones. Normally, that's what I do with my previous recording, but that recording went for 2 hours. I mean, if you split this tutorial up, which I have, it probably will be going for 2 hours, but I'm only 4 minutes in for this one, so hopefully that'll work. So I'm going to put down another for each loop. And I'm going to be just going over the names, so we don't need to change anything here really. And then I'm going to create an attribute promote. And what I want to do is I want to promote my custom eye scale. Where's it gone? I hate how when you delete something, it just gets deleted forever. So custom eye scale should still be there, but it's not there anymore. Okay, so I want to go back from primitive. My bad. So I want to say custom eye scale. I want to put them onto the points. And the reason we're going to put them on the points is because we're going to use a scatter stop. And we want to transfer because if we have them on primitives, then it's just going to get deleted when we just do a scatter stop. So I want to keep my custom eye scale. Okay. And you see they're exactly the same. The reason we have a custom eye scale is because we use the custom eye scale down here to extrude them. And we don't want our medium and small size gems to be taller than these ones, than the large gems. We want them to be the exact same size or smaller. So that's why we keep the custom eye scale. Okay. I probably would have actually I think it's better if I use the custom Z scale, but for now I'm just going to use the custom eye scale just to see how it goes, so that to make sure it just works, because it's going to be the same value anyway. Okay, so I'm then going to put down a normal. Why do I put down a normal? Because, well, when we created these the primitives, they're going to be the normals are going to be made on the vertices. If you don't know what a vertice is, you got in Houdini, you've got points. You've got vertices, points, edges, and then primitives. Primitives is quite easy to figure out what it is. It's the primitive, the big square you see in the middle here. The edge, that's quite obvious as well. It's the connecting point between point and point. But to create an edge, we have to use a vertice and a point. And vertices are basically like the glue to a point. So if we go to a geometry spreadsheet, and we see we've got 11 points. But if we go to the vertices tab, we'll see we have double that. So if you take a look at this, each one has got several vertices to it. So this point here has got 0.3, 0 brackets 3, 0, colon 2, 0, 1, 0, 0. So what it's doing is it's creating it's like a glue between this point and this point and that point. So it's basically a glue, but we don't want the normals to be on there because we're going to be using a scatter, which is going to create points, and there's no vertices on a point here because we're not creating any geometry. So I'm going to go back to my normal, and I'm going to say points. Change to the points, please. And I'm going to keep it like that. I can either say like that or by face area, but I'm going to keep it like that to make it a bit more, Let's see which one makes it a bit more organic. I think the by face area is good, but I'm going to change it back to like vertex equally. Okay, now we're going to put down a scatter stop. The scatter stop is because we're going to do copy to points and create smaller ones. We're not actually going to be extruding from these primitives itself. So I'm going to say, oh, there's too many. So I'm going to say, bring it down to maybe 15. 15 was good for me, so I'm going to be using 15 for this one. We can use the ash as well and do it that way. But if we recall, the ash was down here. We can do another hash, but for now it's going to be working quite well because each one's going to be different anyway. And then we're going to put an attribute randomize. You can just do an attribute wrangle and make a random one from there, but I prefer it this way because it's much more simple. I'm going to say p scale, bring it down to 1. I'm going to say you're going to have a minimum value of 0.5. I don't want them to be as big as 0 because there's nothing to be extruded then, pretty much. So I'm going to keep it there at 0.5. The minimum you can be is 0.5, but the max is going to be 1. And then I'm going to lay down a circle. Now this is what we're actually going to be extruding our geometry from. So I'm going to say polygon. Let's bring this down to maybe 0.02. And bring this to about 7. So it has divisions of 7. Let's go to here. It has divisions of 7. You can do 6 or 7. It's up to you. I chose 7 for mine when I did this. And then I'm going to say copy to points. Hit this input to there, this one to there. And voila, it's all there. Now the vertices are going to be mucked up a bit, but that doesn't matter. It's going to be fixed later on. Okay, just copy that to there, and then I'm going to put down another normal, and I'm going to say use the vertices again. But it's pointing the wrong way, which is a worrisome. But don't worry, it's just how these were made, because they're pointing up that way. We can just do a transform and point them the other way. So if I go to my transform here, and I say rotate you by 180, then they're all extruding the right way. So that's what was going wrong there. But I'm not going to do that because my system still works. It doesn't matter which way they're facing. Just going to have to change the extrude value. Okay. And now I'm going to create, because we've got the custom eye scale here, we're going to use that. But we also want them to be random themselves. So what we're going to do is we're going to create our own random function. But we're not going to use color this time. Don't want to use color. Well, I think we are going to use color eventually. But right now we're not going to. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, put down another attribute randomize, and I'm going to say go over the primitives, and we're going to say fake x, because we're basically making a different extrusion limit. I'm going to say minimum value is 0.1 and the maximum is 0.9. I'm also going to bring this down to 1 because we don't need to have it a vector. Okay, and then I'm going to promote that up. Or down, really. Why did I do it on the... If I'm going to promote it... If I'm just going to put it onto primitives here, why am I going to promote it down to points? Because if we put it to points at least, and we change it to CD maybe, you see how each one has a different value? We want that to have an equal value overall. So when I do this, and then I promote it down, each one's going to have the exact same value as that one. So that's why we do that. So we're going to say primitive and fake x. Then I have to go back up to here and say fake x. Like that. Then we're going to put down another wrangle. So attribute wrangle. And because we're using the points, we're going to run over the points. Because the CD is currently on the points, not the CD. The fake x is on the points. I was using the CD as an example. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put down two parameters. I'm going to say float version A equals custom eye scale times by channel cust A. Custard. Okay, so I'm taking the custom eye scale from here. I'm just going to put it here because it's going to be the same value as the custom Z scale because we use the CD value to get those values. Okay, then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to make another float. Float version B equals the fake x times by the channel custom B. And then I'm going to say float custom Z scale equals version A plus version B. Okay, that's done. Load these up, and then I'm going to put in a value of maybe like 2.4, and this one's going to be about 0.5. Okay, then I'm going to promote the custom Z scale back to primitives. Why to primitives? Because the poly extrude that we're going to be using uses the primitives. It doesn't use the points. So I'm going to say attribute promote. I'm going to say the primitive, and I want to use my custom Z scale. I don't need the custom eye scale anymore, so I'm going to get rid of those. So I'm going to say attribute delete. Don't need them anymore, so I'm going to get rid of them. So what do we need? We don't need my fake X anymore. That's done. We need my position, obviously. Don't need my P scale either. We don't need my custom eye scale. Okay, so what we're doing is we're trying to make sure that we're going to get rid of the var map as well. What we're trying to do is, and the normals. We don't do the normals anymore. What we're doing is we're just cleaning up our workspace so that it doesn't use as much memory. Okay. So then I'm going to put down another for each. Why another for each? Because we're going to be iterating over each polygon here that we want, not each island in itself. I'm going to go here, and I'm going to say, right, I want you to just go over each primitive. So it's going to gather roughly 15. because I said 15. You can do a seed value to determine a random value between 15. 50% goes here, so it's going to be this much. So it has a different value each time. I'm just going to take the easier route and just say 15. It's a lot more controllable. You can control the other one, obviously, but this one's more controllable for me. Okay, then I'm going to go here. I'm going to create a meta import because we're going to be using the iteration values because we're going to want to name them. Okay, so then I'm going to say polyextrude, and because the normals are facing the wrong way, I'm just going to say go in the negative. So I'm going to say 0.12. Now each one's going to be 0.12. What did we do last time? We just used the local controller and say custom z-scale. So custom z-scale. There we go. And we can change the scale by going back up to here and changing these. So this is the variant one, and this is how the overall one, basically. So I'm going to change it to maybe like that. That looks pretty good. I'm just going to turn off those. Okay, and then I'm going to name them. So I'm going to say attribute wrangle, and we want to run over the primitives. We want to hook up our iteration node, and I'm going to say, oops, I want to run over the primitives. I said int iter equals detail 1 iteration, and then s at name prop equals printf prop underscore %d iter. Done. Okay, so I've just named all of these primitives. Why did I name them? So that we can easily work our way down and not have to go over each one. Because when we do a for each loop, I'm also going to go to my polyextrude and say output back. When we do a for each loop, so they're going to run off the name, and the name basically includes each primitive. Because if we just say use each primitive, it's going to take this primitive, it's going to take this primitive, it's going to take this primitive, and it's going to take them all separately. But if we say use by name, it's going to group them by the name that they have. So this one's got group 1, this one's got name 1, and it's name 1, name 1, name 1. That's going to iterate over that whole thing as a one piece. That's when we name them, so that it's easier to iterate over. We're also going to rename them again. Okay, so I'm going to put down a fuse because sometimes the once you extrude them, they don't like to fuse together sometimes. I don't know why. It's something you just have to figure out. I'm going to put down another attribute delete though, because we don't need a lot of the stuff anymore. So I'm going to say, what do we need? Need position. We don't need the custom z-scale. But since that's the only thing we're going to be deleting, it seems kind of pointless to do that, but we're going to delete it anyway. Unless I've missed a step and we actually do need that further down the track, but I don't think I've missed a step. Okay. And then I'm going to rename them again. So I'm just going to grab this, put it down to here. I'm going to say grab a meta import node, bring that right down to here as well, chuck that into there. And instead of name prop, I'm going to just say this one's going to be name. And then I'm going to say isle, because this is essentially its own little island. Yes, we are going over an island, but that's what we needed over it anyway. Okay, so each one's going to have its own separate little name to work with. So if I go down to my geometry spreadsheet, it's going to have the name of island 0 and prop 0. So in island 0, we've got 15 different, well 14 here, but that's because we started 0. 15 different polygons in that one island. And so yes, some of them are interpenetrating and stuff, but that doesn't matter because they're crystals. They grow. They're going to grow around each other. They're going to go through each other. Okay. Then what we're going to do is we're going to literally go over to here and grab this and hold Alt, drag it out to make a copy. And we're going to have to make some changes, obviously, because it's not going to work all the time. So, did that. Okay, I'm going to go here, see what's happened. Okay, nothing's happening. Why isn't anything happening? Okay. Let me just see what I did to make sure that it was doing this. Right, because we've changed the names, we don't want to go over the name 2. We want to say name. We want to go over the name, each name, and we want to go over each name prop. But they're going the wrong way. That's just because of the normals, of course. So if we go back up to our attribute VOP, where we extruded along the line, we're just going to put down a negative. And there you go. All done. We've still got the subdivide thing that you can do here as well. I'm just going to turn that off. And then we're just going to do some more cleanup. Okay, so the cleanup is pretty simple. You don't have to do too much, but we're going to be, instead of doing it once here, as we just did it over the name, we're going to do it a few times. So we're going to say, we'll let that cook out for a second. It's got to cook all of those. That's great. And then I'm going to say, put down a for each loop. Chuck that into there. I'm going to be using the name here as well. And I'm also going to be using the name prop as well. So I'm going to say for each, another for, whoops, that's vortex. For each loop. And put that over here. And I'm going to say name prop, please. Prop. Okay. Now we want to make now we should still have the class ID, except we don't. Why don't we have the class ID? Because we need to promote that back down, or to copy that over. So I'm just going to be checking what I did in my other example project to make sure that I'm following the steps correctly. I don't think I even used it, which is kind of shameful, because I should have. Let's go to my geometry spreadsheet, to my objects, down to here, go to my names, small gem, da 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 da. Well, we don't need the islands themselves, I think. That's what was my method behind it. We don't need them, because the islands were only there to make sure that nothing went wrong. So I'm just going to put down another attribute wrangle. And I'm just going to rename everything. So I'm going to say s at name equals... Actually, I'm just going to delete that. I'm going to go back up to here. I'm going to copy that, because this is what we need. Shake it to get rid of that connection. It's not getting rid of that connection. There we go. It's the rename. And so I've said name 2, but I don't want to use name 2. I want to use name, just name here. So if we go to this one, we're going to say isle here like that. Except over here, I've said isle, because this is island 1. And we don't seem to have the connectivity or the class ID with us anymore, the main islands. Why is that? String 2 is still here. String 2 is still here. String 2 is no longer here. Okay. So that's where we went wrong. So we want to do an attribute transfer. So I'm going to say attribute transfer. See if this works. Go all the way up to here. And I'm going to say, I want you to transfer over the name 2. Now it's going to have the lovely island 0 there. So that's what we want to do. I'm going to say, don't transfer over points. Okay, so that's going to take the name 2 here, name 2, and it's not picking up the name 2 again. Have to figure out why. Where does it stop? Name 2's there. Name 2's not there anymore. Name 2 should be here. Should have been back here. Name 2's still there. Name 2 is gone. Okay, so let's try. Instead of, we're going to copy this one as well. Chuck it into here. And I'm going to go I'm going to stop it there. I'm going to chuck it into the middle one here. And I'm going to say, okay, put that over to there. Bring over the name to. Attribute name to either not used or recognized. This is rather infuriating, I must admit. Let me just pause this to get back. Okay, sorry, I actually did get that correct. I just didn't update it properly. Okay, so I'm going to go back to here. I'm not going to go over to this scene because we don't need this anymore. We're just trying to rename properties. So I'm going to go to my rename node, and I'm going to say sname2. Why isn't it picking up sname2? It's still there. So I'm going to go here, but I believe what it's picking up is the name of something else. So name2 should be here. Name2 should be here. Name2's here. And then if we cook that one, it's not there anymore. Cook this one, it's not there anymore either. That's rather unusual. I don't know why that's working like that. Maybe if we reset it. Reset cache pass. Nope. Reset that cache pass. No. Okay. So I'm going to put that back over to here then. See if that makes any difference. So I was in the wrong. Gee whiz. It's not going too well. So if I go back to here, name2 should be there. Name2's there. One unique. There we go. That's what I did wrong. Okay. Yeah. Go like that. So now we've got name 0, island 0, large islands, large gems. I apologize. Isle 83. This is the one we're iterating over for some reason. And then we want to say plus. Excuse me. Underscore plus s at name prop. And there we go. Each one has their own different properties. Okay. And then we're going to go back to my attribute delete. I'm going to get rid of all these. And we're going to do it separately for each one. So which one do we need anymore? We don't need name to. We don't need name prop. So we're going to get rid of ash. And we're going to get rid of name. Any groups we want to delete? Yes, all of them. Okay. And that's actually pretty much it. Yes, there are small gems, but what we're going to do with those is the exact same thing. We're going to copy paste it because it's the same algorithm. So I'm going to go up to here. I'm going to grab all of that. I'm going to Alt and move over here to paste it. Let it cook. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to say copy the points. I don't want them to be that big. I want them to be pretty small actually. So I'm under my attribute randomize here. I'm going to put this down to 0.1 and maybe 0.5. I'm also going to change my wrangle here from maybe that to 0.5 and 0.5. That's going to make it nice and small. So if we go here, we just let it cook for a few seconds. This is the cooking part that's a bit intensive. Then we get all these little small gems. And they're tiny, tiny, tiny gems. We don't have to extrude that far, so I'm going to go to my attribute up here. I'm going to change this to maybe 0.02, I'm sorry. Maybe 0.3. That worked better for me. Somewhere in between. Has to cook it each time, which means it's a bit slow. But now a crystal system is completely finished. I'm going to lay down a merge. Put that there. I'm going to put this in here. Put this one in here. And then put this one in here. And let's take a look at it. And there we go. Now, these ones are quite a bit big. So what we're going to have to do is figure out which ones those ones are. I believe it's obviously these ones. Also, you realize when we just did that, they didn't actually disappear. This is because we need a different seed. So I'm just going to go back up to my attribute wrangle though first. My attribute wrangle, this one here. And I'm going to change the scale of it. I'm going to bring those ones down here maybe 0.5. Well, no, that works. To make them nice and small, maybe 0.2, maybe 0.2. Okay. And they should be following the same height as each one, but they're not. So we've done something wrong. And this is me debugging my system here. So if we go down to here, and we're going to say create custom noise, yep. And this is making a custom z-scale. And this is what the z-scale is based off here. So we did something wrong. We did do something wrong. So I don't want to delete that. I want to delete the I-scale. I'm going to go down to my attribute here, and I'm going to see where I use my I-scale. I-scale is still there, so I'm going to say z-scale. Change from there, my normals. Let's go to this one, attribute remote, my wrangle, and it's going to be using a custom I-scale. We don't want that one, we want a custom z-scale. So if we just go here and we just check it to make sure it's still working. There we go. Still working. So I'm going to put this at 0.1 maybe. And if we highlight those, we're going to see it's actually following that quite well. So I'm going to actually put this up to 2.5 because I want it nice and big. And then I'm going to say maybe this 1.5. Okay. And then to make sure that it follows the same rules here, I'm going to change these as well. Custom z-scale here under my attribute delete is deleting the I-scale here as well, yes. So just make sure it's working. Custom z-scale, and yep, it's deleting those points. Okay. It's promoting that back up. Okay, so if I go to my for each loop, should be roughly the same. We should see roughly the same thing, except I'm going to go to this one here. I'm going to say maybe 1.2, make it a little to make them follow the height of the other ones, of the larger gems. And I'm also going to go up to here, and I'm going to change my seed on my scale. I'm just going to chuck in a random number. Okay, now if we just put that over to here, put that back up. I like mine nice and ordered. And then we're just going to put that into view, and then I'm just going to hit on the display button and let it cook for a few minutes, or for a few seconds hopefully. And what it should do is it should be a completely procedural growth system. There we go. And they're following the height of the other ones as well. Maybe a bit too big. That's alright, that's just up to you with using the custom scales we set up. And it's completely procedural. So if we go all the way back up to my paint, and I'm going to reset it, hit enter, and I'm going to draw that. Oh, it's an S. Okay. Didn't realize I was drawing an S until I finished the S. I thought I was just drawing a snake. And then we let it cook, and it's cooking a lot more now because we're doing a lot more area. Okay. Leave it there. Cook for a few minutes. And typically when I use the smaller ones, I tend to use a lot more smaller ones so that you can see them quite better. So I'm going to go back up to here, and I'm going to say I'm going to chuck it to 50. Do 50 of those small gems. And it's going to take a lot longer to cook because instead of 15, we're doing 50. As you can see here, it's iterating over each one, trying to cook them all out. This is why I had a file cache swap after this, because it can get quite big. And we don't always want it to be in the memory. You can also do a pack. You can also pack all these to make it less memory intensive, but it tends to slow down the viewport, which means it's more memory intensive, I suppose. And there we go. Completely 100% procedural growth system. You can create your own cool looking effects. There's an S. Looks pretty cool, if you ask me. Okay, thanks for watching this tutorial. If you have any feedback or comments, or just want to show your support, then leave a I'd love to hear your comments down below. Anything I could have done better, please let me know. Anything, I'm always looking to improve both my Houdini skills and my tutorial telling skills, because I do want to become a teacher one day. Unless you all say no, then I'm probably going to have to improve quite a bit. But it's all in the hope of learning. This tutorial series is also completely free, and it would have been, I'm hoping it is going to be released alongside a Rookies article system based on this procedural growth system as well. So hopefully that's where you found it, unless I linked it to you unless you found it on Facebook or somewhere else. I hope you really enjoyed this tutorial, and I'd love to see all the creations you make of this little tool that I've made. So yes, I hope to see you in the next one, and hope you have a good day.